Welcome, everyone, to the Wiseman Unified School District Board meeting for July 16th, 2026. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. Wendy, would you please go ahead and take roll?
Mr. Martinez?
Present.
Ms. Legaspi? Present. Dr. Goldman?
Present.
Ms. Cappy? Present. And Mr. Benuelos?
Present. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to the Pledge of Allegiance. And Kim, would you please do us the honors?
Put your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Kim. We did hold a closed session a little bit earlier today, but there are no items to report from closed session. That is item 3.3 for those following online. Item 3.4, the board is going to have a discussion on the City of El Segundo Planning Commission and their consideration for a site plan review for a new data center on Nash Street, which would have been an AI data center and electrical substation. Blake, I'm going to turn it over to you for a brief intro and then board discussion.
Sure. I'll keep it somewhat short. I think that, the board has some of the information based on some updates that went back and forth, but there was a proposed plan to build a 180,000 square foot facility in Eastern El Segundo. So we actually heard of it later in the process and had a chance to go to the meeting, commission meeting. At that point, the commission was going to make a vote, take action on it, then it would be sent to the city, to City Hall for the council to take a vote on. But in that meeting, there were probably 200 plus people from El Segundo, from local areas, just concerned about the negative impacts of data centers that are happening across the country, notably in one of the Carolinas, I believe in Georgia, et cetera. There's been some just bad things happening as it relates to these large mega data centers. One of the big issues was that the environmental impact report was actually constructed or was done in 2001 or 2002 maybe it was. And instead of redoing an EIR to make it current, the city was proposing, or the applicant was working with the city to do it as an addendum. The difference is that first, you're not re-engaging the community in a way that allows the community to provide input, to share concerns. It's a much longer process. Obviously, to get it done quicker, this is the way you do it, but frankly, to get it done the right way, it's not. Because in 2001, there were no data centers in the area. Now there are 4. I believe this would have been 5. And I'm talking almost in just this square block or two around the school here. Da Vinci Schools, Wiseman School District didn't exist in 2001 either. So whatever negative impact a data center could cause wasn't taken into account. We already have 4. The other piece is that this addendum was only paying attention to the impact of this massive data center, but wasn't looking at the cumulative effect of now, which would be 4. With one very, very large data center. So I say that all to say at the end of it, the applicant withdrew his request or withdrew his application, sort of case closed. But that led, I know I had a conversation with Rebecca to maybe have a bigger conversation about the district's position on data centers in general. And so that's where we look to the board for some guidance and direction.
I'll go ahead and kick us off, Rebecca, if I may. Just some comments from having attended the meeting. I also reached out to Ray Santiago, president of the board at Da Vinci Schools, because it's important, obviously, for us to coordinate as it impacts all of our students here at this location. Nash is the location of the center is less than a mile from this location. There's a lot of concerns and unknowns with AI data centers all data centers are not equal. This one was in particular that caught my eye is in reviewing a lot of the documents, is an AI data center which was phrased or poised as a 5-story data center, but in reality, it's 5 levels because the building was going to be 185 feet high. That's 18 and a half stories because traditionally in construction, 10 feet is a story. This was a massive, massive structure, not just your typical 5-story as a replacement. There's a lot of concern with data centers, things that we don't fully understand, like infrasound, which could lead into just an intolerable decibel level, especially to close proximity of businesses and communities to that data center that isn't fully addressed, in my opinion, in the EIR because they didn't do an EIR, right? There's water contamination concerns, there's heat generation, there's air quality and fumes from they're planning on utilizing 16 diesel generators, each at 6,500 gallons to use for emergency and backup systems. Reality is they're probably going to be used quite a bit. Those are absolutely massive in terms of the sizes. All that to say that when we were working to develop the site for this high school here at this location, we at Wiseburn and Da Vinci, we were required to do a full-blown EIR. And that took over 18 months and we spent close to $200,000. Don't quote me on the number, somewhere in that bracket, but it was expensive. And it took about 2 years for us to do a full-blown EIR. And that was for a school site that, in my opinion, has much, much less risk than a full-blown AI data center. So that's why I attended the meeting to also voice our concerns and so that the Planning Commission can understand that there's a school site here now that was not there in 2002. So and that's why we wanted to have this conversation and dialogue with the board so that have a dialogue as to how we feel about data centers and potentially take a position on that. So I'll leave that with, those are my comments and I'll turn it over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Roger. And thanks, Blake. I was really pleased that both of you were able to attend because I was attending a conference back east when all of this was happening, but was grateful to the community who, raised the alert that this was a potential that was happening. I've been part of a national organization called Local Progress for a number of years now. And one of the issues that they have been working with other elected officials with around the country is to develop methods for the communities that they serve, like our school district, to become aware of the potential hazards associated with data centers and to figure out ways that we can protect those who it is our obligation to protect their health and safety and their well-being. And as well as their learning environments. And so that was also why I raised the alarm to the rest of my, to Dr. Silvers in a conversation, just so we're clear and not have serial conversations with folks about this. But in those conversations, I, raised some of the issues that Roger talked about, but also talked about the idea that, oftentimes data centers are given tax breaks by the cities in which they're supported, and that revenue could otherwise be funding our public schools, right? And there's report after report showing the growing damage to districts from these tax breaks that are being given. So I think we have an obligation as a school district to keep an eye on what's happening in our community and make sure that that we're thinking about that and that we're having conversations with our fellow neighbors about the issues that pertain, especially because we cover many jurisdictions within our school district. Also, just to put a finer point on the issues that Roger raised around this being an AI data center, there's another term in the industry called hyperscale. And the size of this facility is would have been considered a hyperscale facility, just based on its square footage, but also on the wattage that it was trying to divert, which was close to 50 megawatts of power, which would have likely raised the electricity rates for not only the schools, but any of the homes and businesses in the community. In addition, it requires millions of gallons of water to cool these facilities, which then go back into the groundwater. They could be contaminated, but also just in a drought-prone area of California to divert millions of gallons of water away from people to machines doesn't, in my opinion, make a whole lot of sense. And we know that districts have spent, they spend about $8 billion across the country annually on energy costs alone. It's usually the second largest expense of school districts. I know it's been a huge expense for us, which is one of the reasons why we installed solar panels at our schools to try to save some of those costs going forward, as well as being green. But the strains on the electrical grid, which we've already seen brownouts around here with the current strains, just don't make a lot of sense. But as a school district, because this is not, we don't have the control over what gets built, right? There are only certain things that we can, I think, do. But I think one of the things that we can do is one, I know in this case, we were actually asked for an easement by the developers. They proposed putting an easement through the parking lot, I believe, at just behind us. And I think in that instance, we can have a policy as a district about what our response is to easement requests. One, I would hope that the board would be notified of those requests, and two, that we might put in place, some sort of guidelines around how we're considering that, and especially if they're coming from projects that might involve data centers. So that's something that I'd like the board to consider for the district to get back to us on what kind of policies we can put in place to sort of protect the district from that. I think the other thing I think is that there is we don't have the authority to ban because we don't control zoning, but we can encourage I think our fellow neighbors who do have control over that to consider not only, I think, potentially a moratorium on additional data centers in the area now that we know that there are so many, but also to think about whether to ban it. The city of Monterey Park recently banned the construction of data centers in their jurisdictions. So there is precedent out there, not only for us, but for school districts to just be considering, taking a stand sort of against this. And then I think that the one other thing is thinking about, as we think about these easements, just sort of setback requirements from our schools, right? That they not be allowed to be built within a certain area, and that is something that we can advocate for with the city, I think.
If I may, Rebecca, to your point, because it's very similar, directly aligned. When we did the EIR for this building, this used to be a Northrop Grumman building, and it was a 5-story building as well. And it stretched out very close to the street over here on Douglas. Part of the EIR process or comments that we received is that the building itself, because it was housing students, could not be too close to the existing power lines, as in within 90 feet. So we actually had to reduce the whole footprint of this building and get it off of Douglas and demo a absolutely huge section of the building at a big expense and cost.
Right.
But that also came across through the EIR, and that's just because of some smaller power lines versus an AI data center, and they're not even going through a review, which I thought was incredibly unfair.
Yeah, so I think that those are also things that, again, we can sort of push for with the city of El Segundo and the planning commission as they're considering the development of potentially additional data centers, because this was withdrawn, like we said, we know of at least 3 or 4 other ones in the immediate vicinity. We also know that the day after that proposal was withdrawn, Da Vinci families who have students in the district received a notice about additional internal combustion engines that are being proposed to be put at another center that's even closer than the proposed one that started this discussion, at least for us. So I think that's one thing. I think one other request that I would have is that the district consider putting, to the extent that we don't already have them, something that would allow us to measure the noise that's currently being received by the classrooms, so that in the event that new data centers come in, we have evidence of what the sounds are that currently exist and can be able to have the evidence that we need to push back against the additional development. So whether that's a sound monitor, like, yeah, a decibel monitor or something like that. What's that? Right. Yeah, but it should be, here. I mean, it used to be, right, 20 years ago when this EIR was conducted, right? I think Northrop was still building planes, right? Over here. It was a very industrial space. I think the sound is different now. Obviously, we live near LAX. It's so that kind of thing, it's possible that for the emissions issues, if we could measure emissions standards and our facility so that we know what's coming and then be able to do that. I think it's possible that LA Air Force Base or others in the area already have some sort of emissions thing. Obviously, SCE does, because they're telling us that there's going to be additional emissions that are coming from there. So I would like us to look into that. I think those are like the big things. But I just, like I said, I'm grateful for all of the community members that spoke up, that raised the issue for us. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can put some policies in place to protect the district and our students going forward, to make sure that that all of us continue to have healthy and safe learning environments where our kids can thrive. Not to mention that I didn't mention the outdoor aquatic center that is here that our students use, and the open air soccer field, and outdoor eating facilities. Those athletic facilities would have been impacted by this. So I think that's where I'll stop. But yeah, no, grateful for this discussion, looking forward to hearing what others have to say about it, and looking forward to working with the district to figure out how we can put additional policies in place to protect our students and facilities going forward.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any other comments from?
Well, my comments will be quick. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Roger and Blake for holding the public hearing, and obviously Rebecca for your participation as well, and advocating for Da Vinci students and Weisberg schools, different students. I think we all here share that we're committed to protecting the educational environment for our kids. So thank you. It's very appreciated. And I think the only other comment that I would have is I'm not sure how we found out about this project. I know you mentioned maybe the easement, but maybe there's a way to put maybe a letter or send some kind of note to the city of El Segundo that we would like to be informed of these projects. It seems like they were able to get around that because of the 2002 EIR, but maybe there's a way to let them know there's projects that might impact their students. We want to know about it. So that's my only comment.
Thanks, Nelson. I just want to kind of bring us back here a second so I can make sure we get what you all want. And then, I'm sorry, Michelle, I don't know if you or Neil wanted to, before I jump in, just with some questions. The one is, we do have two letters. I just received them this morning, or maybe it was late last night. I'd have to check, but from our attorney, from Jeremy, that would be a request, a CEQA request that would go to the city to request any type, because we were left off this, and literally, I think we were talking, Rebecca shared it with me on a Saturday, which the meeting was Tuesday, and so we didn't really know what I said.
Yeah, it's still within a week.
All right, it's still, it felt like Tuesday. Just kidding. So we had to flip around pretty quickly and try and get some of the information. So we will request that. I also heard a couple other things. I heard policies on data centers. I heard emissions meters or noise meters. So I kind of want to make sure, I don't want to get too far out in front of us and then do too much, but I want to make sure that, what you're asking is we're able to capture. So I guess I'd like to get more clear direction from the board in terms of what steps you'd like the district to take, maybe in the short term, so that we can get that back to you.
I'd also like to start the dialogue, or more of the dialogue, if you will, with Da Vinci and their board and Dr. Winter, because that's a separate board and they're here with overseeing the education for all our students on the high school side. So we do have two boards, right? So I want to make sure to the greatest extent possible that we're aligned in what those requests are, because ultimately the students are here and it's their board that oversees the curriculum and instruction here for our high schools, and it's more central. It does impact us, of course, because of our other schools, because it's not, the impacts of a data center are not localized to the footprint which they occupy. So we're all affected by it.
I think, going back to the point that Rebecca, did an EIR for this project, as Roger mentioned, and there is background information that we probably have through the either planning center or now their place works. They're, so I would start that if, we're looking for some background. I think that's a great idea with the noise. I think also too, that the data centers, when they impact the students, is really particular on PM10. So if we can get, we probably have some background. Air quality, and we would probably want to have that background in the event in the future. So I think you're right on. I just think we probably need a little bit of help from the environmental consultant.
Yeah, my request is really just that we set a baseline for ourselves, right? Figure out what it currently exists in terms of sound pollution, air pollution from the particulate matter, and anything else that we can currently measure, so that in the event that projects are proposed in the future, we'll understand what the impact might be to those additional things. Because I've heard about other school districts that are currently in litigation, frankly, with data centers because they've had to stop outdoor classrooms because students couldn't concentrate and were impacted, and teachers were like recording with their phones, to your point, Neil, right? Before the data center went in, and then after the data center, and now they have to get an expert to compare what those sounds sound like. And that cost would be, prohibitive, I think. And we have the ability now to take some proactive steps, I think, to just set a baseline. It seems like this is a prime area for folks to want to build these centers. So definitely, and I was remiss, I did submit a 4-page comment to the Planning Commission ahead of their hearing myself, to raise these issues and to ask them to both vote no on the resolution, but also to take into account their duty to the community to protect them from these things.
So like going back to, I think you're looking for some answers. So I think it sounds like there's a letter going to the city on informing the district any future project that may have an impact to our district or school sites. Sounds like an updated baseline. But we might need some recommendations on what do we sample, what do we test. I know particulate matter is one, I know sound, but what are some of the other things that they might
Water
recommend?
quality.
Third was, I think I heard something about
A board policy
board
or
policy.
a district policy.
Position statement.
Yeah. On future development,
It's two
especially.
different things. Policy and position statement are two different things, so I wanna make sure I get the right thing. I think
It might be a position statement
more of a position.
in the sense that we can control the development of those, right? I mean, we're not building a data center, data center, so maybe it's a position statement, because the city of El Segundo, this is their jurisdiction, and if it was, I guess, what is that, east of aviation, there would be the city of Hawthorne, right? And their respective planning, county of LA, and their respective planning commissions really would govern like what can be built, and also taking into account like zoning laws. That really doesn't fall directly under Weisberg. I think there's some overlap with zoning.
I think
to
there's at
understand
least
what those nuances. So my thought is more it's a position paper as opposed to
or
policy.
a resolution of the board.
Yeah.
Or a
That's what I'm
resolution.
thinking is a board resolution.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But I don't want to cut off Michelle or Neil if they have comments to add.
No, you guys it was all stated really, really well, and thank you for all of that. And I think our responsibility always, to the community, and we saw what the response was, and that to me speaks volumes. And so as far as the discussion is, I think that it's definitely the direction that we need to go in to make sure that we are aligned with how the community has already spoken. So
I like to always operate from a evidence-based, research-based, and so I love the idea of the baseline to be able to have this be the starting point. But again, always still collecting the data because it is really, really new, and we really don't know what kind of impacts it really does have. So we do know that there are some, and so I would love to kind of dig into that a little bit more with other cases and throughout across the country and see what kind of impacts that has been, and always having our kids and our staff and the people that physically are here to be able to prioritize them. And then, of course, secondary to that, the financial impacts that it has on our district. So
I have very little to add. Well said, support you all, and I stand with you. Thank you.
Can I summarize, just so I make sure? So I heard three things. One is the CEQA letter, the letter that's going to go to the city of El Segundo. That's already in the works. I also heard the baseline, acquiring a baseline on sound and on emissions, some sort of environmental impact. I'll work with Noemi and Cherie to maybe get get a consultant, that we could have come in and give us a baseline of the area. So Cherie, we'll connect on that, but thanks. And then a position statement / resolution that we could bring to the board. So I'll give you an update at some point to let you know how close we are. I mean, if it's an August 20 thing or if it's something that we need to push out to September, but we'll get on it.
I think we have time with the two because
Yeah,
at least
I
in
think we
particular, this data center is not moving forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, it's more long-term, yeah.
Don't know of any other ones that are in the works,
Yeah.
but I think the priority would be that letter, so
That
at least we
letter.
know, right?
Sure.
And then the other pieces would follow.
Got it, okay, sounds good.
So I would agree, and there is the issue with the 4 internal combustion engines that are being put at the data center here, so I would like to know when that's planned for
Mhm.
and whether we have any additional information about the impact of those. Because it's not a new center, that one, it's just that they're adding new environmentally potentially unfriendly things.
And that's even closer.
And that's even closer, that's at
Next door.
444, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's next door or
So-
around the block. Okay. I got it.
Thank you all for the discussion and for, just being part of it. I will also offer that I'm happy to work with you on the resolution.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our conversation and discussion on the data center. Next, we are going to move to section 4. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
Motion.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we are on section 5, which are public comments, items not on the agenda. Let's see, give me one sec. Today we have 8 comments. The board allots 20 minutes for public comments, so 8 into 20 divides equally into 2.5 minutes. So each of our presenters and speakers tonight will have 2.5 minutes allowed to speak on items that are not on the agenda. Again, for a total of 20 minutes. As you come up, I will read your name, but please do state your name, and you can commence. And the time clock here is on your left-hand side for 2.5 minutes, please. Okay, and I will take these in the order of which they were received. Our first speaker is Grace Bader, and the general public comment, item number 5 on the agenda. Welcome. This is not on the agenda. All of these are actually on the agenda.
Good evening. My name is Grace Bader. At the June 9th board meeting, the public was strictly limited to 2 minutes to speak during public comments. Yet, Wiseburn residents watched as board member Roger Banuelos violated the Brown Act. The Brown Act exists to protect the community's right to participate and to ensure that board members do not use their platform to silence dissent, intimidate members of the community, or monopolize the floor. Board member Roger Banuelos went on a tirade that lasted for several minutes, defending his corporate resume. Wiseburn residents witnessed an absolute abuse of power taking place in this very room that night. And then we were told, Wiseburn residents, by Mr. Banuelos to do our homework. Well, board member Banuelos, We've done our homework. You missed the June 25th board meeting, but the Wiseburn community did not. Wiseburn residents heard a school survey report that was very disturbing and concerning. It showed that 23% of students are being bullied for their race in Wiseburn schools. In a district of approximately 2,400 students, that is over 500 children that are being racially bullied in Wiseburn schools. And what was the response by this board? You all smiled and nodded. Board member Neil Goldman even said, I quote, "Good job." Since when is it a good job for over 500 children to suffer bullying? What if it was your child? I'm sure you would be enraged. An 11-year-old in the audience noticed this that night and was appalled. But no one here was or seemed to care. No one had any ideas to help those 500 children who are being bullied in Wiseburn schools for their race. You failed to reauthorize Da Vinci Rise, a school that helps Wiseburn kids in the foster system and kids facing homelessness. You pushed off the Futures Plus program that helps young adults in Wiseburn with special needs. And now you are ignoring 500 children facing racial bullying in our Wiseburn schools. Just one is too many, but 500? If you aren't listening to Wiseburn residents or Wiseburn kids, then who are you listening to? Maybe it's to the interests of Element Consulting, the school construction company run by board members Roger Banuelos and Nelson Martinez. You have both held 40% of the vote on this board for over a decade now, making important decisions for our children. Is that fair? Another number that came up that night was that you hired a law firm in the amount of $100,000 that specializes in defending school board
You have 10 seconds, please.
scandals. It's called Janice Walliver Kelly. We deserve transparency and accountability, and we will be back and doing our homework. That's all.
Our next speaker is Jeannie Ogar, and the topic is general public comment as well. Number 5, items not on the agenda.
My name is Jeannie Agar. For the public record, please note that I just handed evidence to the board clerk. I also emailed this evidence to Superintendent Silvers and Amy Rogers at Danis Walliver Kelly. Who is Danis Walliver Kelly? Well, they're an expensive law firm that specializes in covering up school board scandals. This board quietly voted to pay them $100,000 at the last board meeting. What scandal are they trying to hide? 2 members of this board, Roger Banuelos and Nelson Martinez, are both top executives at Element Consulting, a school construction management firm. The evidence shows that for almost 2 decades, they have been illegally exploiting our school facilities to make money for their business in direct violation of School Board Bylaw 9270. I called them out on it, and now they're using our public funds to hire this new law firm to protect their business. Unfortunately, Danis Walliver Kelly has shamefully failed at this task. They handed me proof that this board has not only violated local laws, but state laws as well. On the afternoon of June 25th, the date of the last board meeting, Danis Walliver Kelly sent me a letter explicitly listing Element Consulting and Bylaw 9270. This is undeniable proof that the law firm was already billing taxpayers to cover up the board's corporate conflicts before the board meeting took place. Later that evening, at the 6 p.m. board meeting, Mr. Martinez committed a devastating legal violation live on camera. He voted to approve the contract with Danis Walliver Kelly, a contract that protects his business in direct violation of California Government Code Section 1090. This means that the contract with Danis Walliver Kelly is completely illegal, null, and void. I am here tonight to tell this board and Superintendent Silvers that we will hold you accountable for all legal violations. Our taxpayer money must go to classrooms, not corporate greed. It's the law.
Our next speaker is Molly Amarillo. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Please share your name with us, and your topic is Catalina Pacific Concrete Plant.
That's right. My name is Molly Ponolo. Yes, thanks for discussion on the data center. I think it's in a similar vein. So my name is Molly. I live on Judah Ave in Holly Glen, less than 50 meters from the Catalina Pacific Concrete Batch Plant, a Cal Portland facility on Aviation and El Segundo. Thank you, Superintendent Silvers and Mr. Arcos, I'm not sure if she's here, for your engagement on this matter. I'm here because 2 Wiseburn facilities are directly affected by this plant. The Wiseburn Sports Complex is approximately 400 meters away, and the middle school is approximately 476 meters away. Both fall within the sensitive receptor threshold established by SCAQMD Rule 1157, the distance at which enhanced air quality enforcement obligations apply to industrial facilities. So every day, student athletes train outdoors at the sports complex and kids walk to school while the plant's generating diesel exhaust and silica dust, which are both California recognized carcinogens. This is not a facility that operates quietly during business hours. They start usually at 4 a.m., sometimes at 1 a.m. So by the time students are walking to school or going to practice, they've already been running for hours with mixer trucks idling, diesel, cycling at full pace, all this, the dust. So California's own Cal Environmental Screen places this neighborhood at the 97th percentile statewide for pollution burden. El Segundo's planning department confirmed in writing this facility has operated for over 30 years with no use permit and no CEQA environmental review. So no one's ever done a health assessment or evaluation of the cross-boundary impacts. El Segundo itself determined in 1993 that this heavy industrial use doesn't belong in this zone. Catalina Pacific was grandfathered, so they're legally non-conforming, but the city never completed the transition. Vision 2025 is opportunity to complete it. El Segundo is finalizing land use concept alternatives right now. The workshops in August, the September City Council was when the preferred alternative is selected. So I'm asking the board for one thing tonight. Submit a formal letter to El Segundo's Vision 2050 project team requesting that this parcel be designated as residential or mixed use. And this is really important, that El Segundo adopts an amortization policy so that this incompatible use has a defined endpoint. I'd asked you the copies go to supervisor. I had a really good last line too.
10 seconds, please.
Go to Holly Mitchell's office because we're both in the district. You guys carry more weight than us. The kids in our neighborhood deserve better than a 30-year-old loophole. The board can say so. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Leslie Johnson. The topic is request that the board formally submit a rezone parcel and amortization policy regarding the Catalina Pacific plant.
Yes, hi, thank you so much for having us. I live 2 doors down from Molly, and I am here for the same exact topic. So I would love to start with my ask, which is to formally request that you send a request to El Segundo to rezone that Catalina Pacific parcel and adopt an amortization policy. Reason being everything that Molly just said, but also I have, firsthand experience witnessing all of the debris every day, our kids and ourselves breathing it. I've been there for 10 years. I developed asthma and allergies within those 10 years. Because of it, I believe because of it. When I leave the house, when I travel, I don't have, I don't have all of the symptoms. I actually had to move out of the house for a couple months for a remodel, didn't have the symptoms. When I returned, had the symptoms again, even after the remodel. So there's definitely something in the air that's causing something going on with my health. Every day we have to dust off, all of our cushions and our tables outside. It wakes us up at 4 or 5 in the morning, at least 3 days a week. What else was I going to say? I actually have a video that I would love to see if I can play. Hold on one second. I work from home, so I'm there 24/7, just breathing it and living it. And oftentimes I have to put my calls on hold because, let's see, This will work. Uh, Just my windows open. I don't have air, so I always have to have the windows and doors open. This is what I hear all day. And this isn't even that bad. So imagine this at 4 a.m. Sometimes they work at 1 a.m, just very off hours. There was a loophole. We do think it needs to be looked at. The time is right. The window's closing in 2 weeks. So we would really appreciate any help you guys can give us. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Robert Stinson. And the topic as well is share my experience of living very close to the concrete plant. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity to speak before you today. So yeah, I feel a little guilty and a little strange. I've lived on Weisbridge Street, right across the street from Molly for 30 years. We bought the house in 97. I grew up in Holly Glen. My parents moved here in the late 60s. I went to what was Cabrillo, Dana, and Hawthorne High, then bought a house back here in 97. So I love the neighborhood. It's great to be here. The noise that comes out of that factory is, I'm numb to it now. I've called the police on several occasions. They were very nice to me when it went past 8 o'clock. I mean, it sounds like they're taking a car-sized boulder and making it into sand. I mean, it is really something. And like I said, I've got a little numb to it. You and Molly kind of shared with me what the air quality, I see the dust. It's in our window sills constantly. My older boy had asthma. I'm looking back, I'm kind of feeling a little guilty that I never really did much other than complain to my wife. But when Molly asked me, can you share your thoughts on it? I said, I'll be happy to. And by the way, I work at Northrop Grumman. We're still making airplanes right across the street and many millions in this building as well. So I can promise you that. And on that note, you know, I'm familiar with the air quality management at Northrop Grumman, and it is strict. I mean, the particles, the fumes, not putting a towel in the right can, and the right, is thousands of dollars of fines. I'm thinking, when Molly shared with me, maybe they're not, you know, really measuring everything that's coming out of that factory. It's just like, you know, it's a little strange, like basically on the same street, you know, about a mile away, less than that. So anyway, that tower there is right outside our kitchen window, and it's about 2 stories. And if you think about the winds that, you know, came during the big, you know, Palisades fire and all that, you know, it's blowing our way constantly. When you think about what happened in Garden Grove recently with that factory right in the middle of that neighborhood, you kind of go, you know, probably not as risky as that, whatever was going on there. And then, God forbid, the Boyle Heights thing that's going on now with that. It's really nasty to see this kind of stuff in the middle of a residential area. But Holly Glen is very close to that, the west side anyway. And I'm here to also ask the board to send a formal letter to the El Segundo Vision to possibly rezone that area with a firm end date. You know, it could be a park, but there's a lot of businesses over there. A park would be beautiful right there. But, you know, residential or some kind of mixed use would be just wonderful. So we appreciate your consideration on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jerry Riddle, and the topic as well is noise all night long, early morning noise and dust. No number to call. I'm assuming that's with regards to the plant as well. But please, Jerry, please step forward and share your comments.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, I just basically already stated what I was going to say pretty much, but I live also a couple doors down, and I look right out my back fence and I can see the plant. And so I actually planted trees, so I don't have to look at the thing, you know, all the time. So that's blocked out now, but definitely loud. And there are times of the year as well, besides the 1 a.m.s and the 4 a.m.s and all that. There's times I think when there are other sister plants, which are a little farther down, maybe they're inoperable or whatever it is, or they have a big project, but there's definitely times where they've gone 24 hours, almost all night long. And it's definitely a lot of banging, loud noises, our windows, you know, you can definitely hear it, very noisy. And yes, definitely dust, cleaning my window seals a couple times, 2 or 3 times a year, just black soot on my things. I don't know if that's, you know, necessarily from the plant, but it would definitely seem like it. Very dusty, dirty. And the trucks, the cement trucks go up and down, aviation in and out of there all the time. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I would hope the board could send a letter and just look into it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Debbie Tenori, and the topic is also the concrete factory noise pollution. Welcome, Debbie.
My name is Debbie Tenori. I've lived in Hawthorne my whole life. I've lived in Holly Glen for 31 years, and my backyard faces aviation. I'm so thankful for Molly for thinking about Weisburn School District being involved because it was always a El Segundo Hawthorne thing. I have made, I don't know how many complaints throughout the 31 years that I've lived there from the noise. We have a pool that needs to be cleaned constantly from all the debris. I have a 91-year-old mother now living with me with Alzheimer's who wakes up very easily. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And I would also like to see if something can be done. You know, it is Weisburn School District. We have all these new kids moving into the area. Used to be a senior citizen area, but it is all new kids that deserve to have healthy air. Like we were, you know, come into the house or into the schools in the 70s when air quality was so bad. Well, you know, they're going to have the same thing if it doesn't get any better. So.
Thank you. Our last speaker today is Miss Kelly Shoemaker. Topic is ESY.
Hi, my name is Kelly Shoemaker. I'm usually the TK teacher at Holly Glen, but for the past 4 weeks, I've had the privilege of opening Holly Glen's gate at 8 a.m. and welcoming summer ESY students with a high five. I'm honored and grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as extended year principal. The ESY program serves students with IEPs from preschool through Futures Plus, for whom continued practice, consistency, and routine are essential. Summer ESY is truly a team effort, and I was inspired every day by the dedication of our staff. Our teachers at all 3 sites thoughtfully created welcoming classrooms, predictable routines, and engaging learning centers for students who may have been in unfamiliar environments with unfamiliar people. They provided individualized instruction focusing on IEP goals while making learning enjoyable. Students explored topics such as the World Cup and NASCAR, wrote how-to pieces after designing volcanoes or cooking s'mores, enjoyed nature walks, singing, and created their own weather reports. Along the way, students shared good things, jokes, practiced important communication skills, and strengthened their social emotional competence and practiced coping strategies that will support them well beyond the summer. Our instructional aides and all the professionals who support them were indispensable partners. They built trusting relationships, celebrated every success, and patiently guided students through challenges. 2 special shout outs, one to Futures Plus graduate Nakai Thomas, who organized entrance, recess, and dismissal for me daily, and who is always someone students can rely on. And second, to our new program specialist, Erin Schwartz, who moved into our office on Monday and was helping students and me on Tuesday. I also want to recognize our office, custodial, IT, and cafeteria teams. Their work kept our campus organized, clean, and welcoming, ensured we all had what we needed, and provided students at Holly Glen with 2 meals a day. But the real stars of the show are our ESY students. Once they walked through the gate, they were ready to learn. As I visited classrooms, students were proud to show off the work they were doing, designing and testing marble tracks, playing learning games, showing me a piece of writing they were proud of, explaining their math thinking as they solved problems. They reminded me that growth is measured not only by goals mastered, but also by confidence gained, curiosity sparked, and joy in learning. Thank you again for entrusting me with this opportunity. It has deepened my appreciation for the remarkable special education team we have and for the resilience of the students and families we serve. I am grateful to have been part of this incredible team and look forward to bringing what I learned back to my work serving Holly Glen students in the coming year.
Thank you, Kelly. Right. Let's see here. Next, we're going to go to section 6, which is a special presentation, and it is an enrollment and inter-district permit update. Blake, I will turn this over to you.
Great, I'm going to turn it over to Nisha. I think she's going to, you're just sitting there, right? We're just going to bring it up on the screen here. You know, we typically would wait, or I shouldn't say typically, you know, in my mind, we were going to wait until August to provide this update, but we have a late August board meeting this year, not one before that. So just bear with us that this is the data that we have today. We have a very, very sort of dynamic enrollment process as we go through the summer. So wanted to just give you some highlights right now, as we get closer to August. In August, or maybe the first meeting in September, we'll give you a much more detailed, update that will include, just maybe more detail. Let's just leave it at that, and we'll move on.
I'm trying, sorry.
Is it that we may not get this, Kevin? Should we begin to pivot?
I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to share it. Yeah, what, can we pivot and then I'll see if I can work, keep working on this?
Let me think of the pivot here. I'm thinking of the pivot, trying to process.
Get dueling computers going at it.
Yeah.
Continue with the agenda, let's just go back.
It's what, Wendy?
With consensus of the board, is going to take a quick 3-minute break? Or-
Recess it away.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this enrollment presentation. As Dr. Silvers mentioned, this is dynamic enrollment information, and so this is actually a snapshot, as you'll see the numbers as of July 8th, as of last week, so we can get the presentation ready. And these numbers will continue to change over the summer as new residents enroll, as we get registration paperwork in, and residency verification is also checked. So once again, as of July 8th, current enrollment is 2,524 students, and there are 19 projected seats available to capacity. Now, these 19 seats, couple things to know is that they're not evenly distributed. It's not like one per grade level or anything like that. And projected seats available is not necessarily just the difference between the capacity in that grade and the current enrollment. And the reason for that is we have current resident applications that have been put in, but our elementary schools are currently closed, right? And so that enrollment verification hasn't been verified yet. So, it'll make sense right here. Let's look at kindergarten. You can see that there's 7 classes at Holly Glen. The capacity is 168. Total enrolled is 164. So you would think, well, got 4 seats left, right? But we have to take into account there are parents right now that have filled out enrollment information and it hasn't been verified yet. So these numbers, when we say they are dynamic, they are dynamic. They are changing as day by day, even sometimes hour by hour. And when our schools open back up in August, a lot of those numbers will become a little bit more verified and confirmed. So as of right now, we can see at Holly Glen, the most room we have would be at the TK level. Right now, it looks like we have about 6 spots available. And then first and second grade, you can see that we're pretty close to getting to capacity in all those classrooms. Next is aviation. This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. You can see that 3rd and 5th grade are pretty close to capacity once the pending resident enrollments are finalized. 4th grade has some flexibility, but once again, there could be residents that haven't enrolled yet. So our priority still remains that our resident students are accommodated before we consider any additional enrollment opportunities for our students. Del Air. Del Air is our comprehensive elementary school with TK through 5th grade. So you can see it's pretty balanced enrollment throughout the grade levels. You can see 2nd grade probably has the greatest projected capacity at 5, and the rest of them are very, very close to reaching capacity. Once again, these will become more refined as offices open up that first week of August.
Nisha, question for you. As the deadline for registration comes to a full close, do you typically see towards that period like a surge in the numbers? What I mean by that is because parents with residents, if you will, they're automatically allowed or enrolled. So they may file late or turn in documentation late. Do we typically see some of these numbers increase as it gets closer to the period?
We do.
Or what you typically see?
We do, as homes are sold over the summer, as new renters move into homes in the summer, and so those numbers do change. And actually wanted to point out, Holly Glen kindergarten, we actually had to open an additional, you can see that all the other grade levels have 6 classes. Kinder has 7. And we've got some Holly Glen teachers back there that Blake and I had to meet with towards the end of the school year, because we had 18 new kindergarten students enroll, resident students. Now, these are not necessarily new residents. It was families that chose to not put their students in TK. Like maybe they kept them at their preschool, kept them at their daycare. And so these were 18 new families or 18 new students we had not planned for. And because TK has become our new point of entry for school, because as soon as you turn 4 by September 1st, you can enter TK. But parents can choose to keep their kids home, and they did, or they kept them in their daycare or preschool. And so these numbers change, and we do get new enrollees in August, as well as anytime a resident moves in, they can enroll. And so you can see we are very tight, and we're trying to keep those numbers. We got to keep some open spots because we may have more residents come in. And then finally at the middle school, you can see even at the middle school, our numbers are very, very close. And once again, the projected seats available, just if you do the math between 320 and 298, you'll see that's a lot more than 11. But we do have pending applications that are still going through. Next steps, we are going to continue to monitor enrollment throughout the summer and looking at program capacity. We will continue to verify the enrollment documentation that's coming in. And then in August, when the registration packets go out to families, that's another opportunity for us to kind of capture some more data. So as Dr. Silver said, we're hoping by the end of August or that first September board meeting, we'll give an additional update on numbers.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. I have 2 questions. One is about the numbers that you showed. Do those include families to whom we've already offered permits, or
Yes.
are they? Okay.
Yes. So when we talk about, let's go back to the first slide, total enrollment, that does include that's capturing everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
And I just want to make a comment that I think that unlike a lot of our neighboring districts, we are having families move in, and we are getting more and more resident families, which I'm assuming impacts our ability to then, offer permits to other families who may be in the area. And I think it's just I don't even know how to describe it as a good or bad thing, right? It's not either. It's just a reality in our district that folks are moving in and buying more homes. And so we are having an opportunity to increase enrollment from resident families, which we haven't had in a while. And I think it's, so I just wanted to note that as we think about this, to your point about the fact that we're still getting people who haven't necessarily moved in yet, or who have moved in and maybe kept their kids home. And I see lots of families on my block that are a lot new kids that I've never seen before, or babies, people pushing strollers. Like, I know that there are a lot of families with young kids moving in. So it is a nice thing, I think, for our district to be able to offer additional spaces when we have them, and that we also have an obligation to serve the families that are moving in, making sure that our residents have space in our schools. And I know that creates some unfortunate tension points for us that we'll continue to have to monitor.
I just want to comment on that as well. And just, I know we've shared with this board, I think probably every year for the last 9, at least maybe not during the pandemic, but the real trickiness comes in with, enrollment and projecting for enrollment, because we do have 900, and I'm not accurate on this exactly, but 900 plus students on permit, and seats open. So it's really, it's a challenge because, as Rebecca said, or as Roger said, sorry, that, a resident could come in, the first day of school and register. And so we have to use data to kind of inform our practice, and we're not perfect on it. I mean, Monique's gotten pretty good. I mean, yeah, we're pretty close. I mean, you could see this, but it is a tricky balance. And on top of it, you're dealing with CSR, class size reduction program, in K-3, and you're dealing with TK and that cap at 1 to 10, or 1 to 20 with an aid. So that is a huge challenge. You don't want to overpromise on the permits and then end up having to be in a position where, I mean, that class size reduction penalty is basically backbreaking for a district. So it's not something that we could do. So just puts us in a tough spot. So I just want to say, I think you understand, and you kind of mentioning the challenge that we face every summer. And it's why we start in January. Like, our enrollment will start, literally, we start school, and then enrollment, for next year, gets underway and planning. And we're really hitting it hard starting January. I think that we had, something like 50 tours across the district, over time. As residents, it's, permit families that come in to see our schools. And we are seeing more and more families that are, shopping is not the right word, but that are touring both schools. If you're an elementary family that are going to see, Del Air and then going to see Holly Glen, we're seeing families that will go to see Del Air with the parents will go, and then they'll bring the kids to the second tour, and I guess trying to do sort of a preview there first. So we're definitely seeing a little bit different, habits with folks coming into the district, and just telling this board, it's just a challenge. I mean, it's really, really hard because of the large number, 900, so we've got to, it just takes a lot of pencil crunching or number crunching, sorry, to make that happen. So here we are.
We have a good problem.
We have a good problem, yeah.
What's happening with other
Sure,
districts?
sure.
California.
Yeah.
Good problem. The need is not challenging.
Right, of course.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to section 7, which is reports and information. We are on item 7.1, which are board member reports. I'm going to go ahead and start on my left-hand side with Rebecca.
All right. Already talked about the data center, so I'm not gonna go back to that. I will just report back, because I had mentioned it at the last board meeting, that I did attend the Local Progress annual conference in Baltimore last week with over 500 of my fellow local elected officials from around the country, of folks who serve on school boards like me, or are city councilors or county boards of supervisors, or other officials that sit sort of below their state houses. California now has over 300 members in our California chapter of Local Progress. And through my day job at the California Donor Table, I'm also a funder of Local Progress, in that I've helped them to secure funding so that they can have full-time staff to support all of those elected officials who, like me, don't have staff of my own. So it was an amazing benefit to be with both folks who sort of understand the job that we do as local elected officials, the challenges, the opportunities, to be able to share with people who, just like you go to any professional conference, right, through your work, or any other affiliation that you might be with. It's nice to be with people who share your values, share your interests, have your back in these things. And frankly, it was a benefit to me to be there during this conversation about the data centers, because as I mentioned, Local Progress has been working on this issue for a while across the country, and they were able to provide me support in crafting my comments and figuring out what we might do as a district coming back home. So just wanted to share that all with you, and I've shared some materials with my colleagues just so that they can get the same information. I don't pay to be a member of Local Progress. Membership is free for any local elected official who wants to be part of it. But it was a really wonderful event, and I'm grateful for the folks there who made that possible. I also wanted to just mention a couple of things. Well, I'll save one of the comments because I think it'll come up on the agenda. And the second one is around the stipend for board members, just a request that we had previously considered bringing our stipend in line with the new California law that was adopted last year. And we had put it on hold for a variety of reasons. But I just wanted to make sure that we are going to be bringing it back as a single mom of two school-age kids. The modest stipend that we are provided is a big help to me to be able to make sure that my kids are cared for and fed while I'm attending school board meetings, not just this one, but also the meetings that take place in between as we do the business of the district. And so just looking to my colleagues to support bringing back like I said, bringing the modest stipend that we receive in line with the new California law that allows us to increase the limit. It's not much. Right now I receive about $200 a month. So about $100 a meeting to attend the thing. So this is mostly a volunteer job and we all do it as we can. But I think also I serve on this board because I believe in in having people like me be able to represent the interests of the families that we serve. And I want to make sure that the next person who might take this seat has the ability to do that and isn't dissuaded because there isn't compensation allowed for the great number of hours that we put in to making sure that our students and schools are properly cared for and function under our fiduciary responsibilities. So that's it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, I'll go to on my right-hand side, Nelson.
No comments this evening. Good.
All right. Thank you. Michelle.
Same, just want to be super grateful for our community members and the engagement that you are always bringing to us. Thank you so much. I love where we live and I love that we are all standing up for each other. So thank you.
Dr. Goldman, Neil.
Thank you to you all. Thank you for the reference for the AI conference this weekend I'll be attending, and no other comment. Enjoy your summer.
All right. Thank you, Neil. I have two comments tonight. One is a comment of appreciation to all of our Wiseburn Unified School District teachers and administration, as well as Da Vinci. I was blessed to be able to go up to Santa Clara University this weekend. My son has been admitted to Santa Clara University, and he's going to move forward in studying biology. And it's an incredible opportunity that Wiseburn and Da Vinci has provided my family, our students, being residents of the community for 25 years. I live in the district. I love Holly Glen and everything and that our entire district represents, all the unique communities in Del Air and Wiseburn and 360. It's really a tight-knit group of people. I wish that everyone had that wonderful opportunity to move forward in their life and their path, whether it's in college or it's a community college or a trade tech. At the end of the day, it's really something that makes your child and your student happy and successful. And they're probably going to, if they do go to college, they're probably going to change their major a couple of times. So be patient with them. I've had a few that have gone through our system in our schools and have changed their major. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to our Wiseburn teachers, staff, administration, because it's easy to move forward as they start from kindergarten and as they matriculate in their school and they go on to high school. It's easy to kind of lose sight of where they started. But it's important to them when they come back to graduation and they see some of their teachers at the Da Vinci graduations, and they're not the same size as when they had them at Wiseburn. So thank you to all of our teachers and staff. I really appreciate everything you do day in and day out just to make our community that much better. Being on the board here at Wiseburn and also on Da Vinci is a tremendous pleasure and an honor, of course. And I do want to share one thing that I'd like to clarify just in terms of my personal comments. This is under board member reports. There's been some conversations that I'm not a founder. of Da Vinci Schools. So I wanted to make sure that I got this cleared away. For those that don't know, I do not post things on the internet or that are not accurate. I have stated that I'm a founder and want to share with everyone this wonderful, beautiful plaque that I had to dig up in my closet. And it's from Da Vinci Schools, 2009, 2010, presented to Roger Bañuelos in recognition of your service as a founder of Da Vinci Schools. Thank you. It's very important to me and for everyone to know that I serve on this board with dignity and respect in everything that we do. So I wanted to make sure I clarified that because I would not post something online and in our district website that's not accurate. So I wanted to share that with you, that I did receive that plaque, but I also earned that plaque. And I am a huge supporter of Da Vinci Schools and everything that we do together for the success of our students. With that, we're going to continue on with district leadership reports. I'm going to start on my right-hand side here with Maggie.
Many of you just in the planning phases to open a smooth and very exciting 2026-27 school year. So we're doing all the back end work to hopefully have that smooth transition come. Unlike our teachers in the background, I can't wait to have teachers and kids back here. It's so quiet without you. We miss you. But I hope you're enjoying all of your peace in the summer. Keep resting. That's it.
All right. That's, oh, wow, okay. We're moving on pretty fast here. Just ready to go to Kim.
Thank you all. Good evening. I don't know if Kelly's still here, but I did just want, oh, there she is. She basically said everything that I would want to say tonight. I think last time we met, we were just kicking off our ESY for the summer, and tomorrow is our last day of the program for the last 4 weeks. So she shared it best in terms of the dedication of our teachers, our staff. And also I just want to thank her for her leadership this summer. It's been a great program, and hopefully now we're all ready to then start summer vacation for summer.
Excellent. Thank you, Kim. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Just about ESY, because I have a kiddo who did attend part of it. So just thank you to all of the staff and outside contractors who continue to provide services to our students to make sure that they are able to bridge the gap in the long summer break. As a mom of a kid who has to use those, who can benefits from those services, I know that it is incredibly important that we continue to provide them over the summer so that we do have a smoother transition as we go back into school, and that we don't have learning loss, and that we're continuing to build those skills. So thanks to Kelly for being the principal. I know when my kids were going through the younger grades, being able to be there on campus for those number of hours was a tremendous help. And now as we're older and we only need some small, some service continuation, we can do those things in a different way. But thank you to everybody that was a part of that and gave up part of their summer to continue to provide those critical services.
Dr. Dougal. Right. Dr. Silvers. Superintendent.
I was going to say no updates, but nobody would believe me. So I'm going to go ahead and just say I have some updates. I do. I absolutely have some updates today. First, Kelly, you also took some of my comments. But I want to, first I want to thank you, Kelly, for the heart. I know, I had a chance to watch you at work a couple times this summer, and just, I know you put a lot of heart into that. And so I just really appreciate the dedication that you showed, and just the joy that you brought to the campus as a leader this summer. Want to thank Kim for her work also behind the scenes and trying to build, the program. It takes time. To the teachers and the staff, I mean, in some cases it's a one-to-one, type environment, and just such an excellent group of educators and caring people that, are showing up every day and supporting and loving the students. So really appreciate, all of those folks, to the custodian. And Kelly, you listed all of them, so I'm going to just, I'm just going to say it's with everybody. And thank you to the team, for putting that all together. Had a chance to walk our facilities the other day. Yes, we have our first RIP on the sports complex turf, that was hard to see. But it'll be fixed in the next week. Not sure what caused it. It is on a seam, so we're just gonna go get in there and fix it, and shouldn't be a problem. We have them coming out. But more important, or not more important, but also had a chance to walk Del Air. Just a ton of work happening at Del Air. I know Michelle knows, living right across the street. But TK Playground completely, out. I mean, they're doing a lot of the base work now, the groundwork there. The old soccer field's gone and removed, and the first layer of base is in. So we're just sort of waiting for that second layer, and then they'll throw the carpet there on top of it. But that means that the drainage is in and the shock pads are in. Painting at the middle school is coming along. We've kind of wrapped around the facility there, and those front buildings are beginning to get painted and take shape. So it's for those that don't know, it's to match the sports complex, and so forth. So it's just a lot of work going on there. A lot of work that Greg Romero and Miguel and Cherie and Noemi and Archie and the team is Jim Wolf, who's not here because we have access control being put in at 2 school sites. When I see, the updates, enrollment, when I, get a chance to walk our facilities, we get reports. We had some reports last board meeting. I'm just very thankful for the team. We just really have to look at data as an opportunity to improve and just to live into the mission. And so I just appreciate all the hard work that people do behind the scenes to make things happen, and to the community for supporting us throughout this process. So thank you. Hope everyone's having a great summer and staying cool. That's all I have. So shorter for me today.
All right. Thank you, Blake. Next, we are going to go on to section 8, which is public comments on items that are on the agenda this time. Wendy, do we have any comments on agenda items? No public comments? Okay, thank you. And we will go on to section 9, which are consent items. Is there a motion for item 9.1 that would approve all of our consent items from 9.2 through 9.10?
Second.
Question.
Neil, please.
9.6, just a little clarity. The documentation was so generic, it didn't tell us much.
Children Behavioral Initiative.
Yeah.
This is LACO?
Yeah, LACO initiative that may represent. I wasn't really clear on this. It said we were receiving funds, but there was no indication of how much funds or.
I'm gonna have to punt that. So I mean, if we need to pull it and bring it back, I guess we can. Monique, Dr. Ingram's not here today, so this is her her wheelhouse. I mean, this is what I perceive to be a pretty run-of-the-mill agenda item.
It's fullness to us. It's just
Right. I don't have those numbers. Dr. Ingram's not here today, so if we need to pull it and bring it back, I don't know. Is there a implication to that?
I just asked that we take this just for purposes of just taking it through, but it was just extending the contract for 1 more year. That's all the amendment addressed, was that it was just going into the next year. And she said she just wanted to.
Yeah, we're missing 2 people that were instrumental in this piece, so I just don't have the context for it, Dr. Goldman.
From what I can understand, this is money coming to us. It's something we've been doing. There's no cost to us.
Right.
I don't see a downside, so I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But yeah, I would like clarity.
I can follow up with an email.
That'd be
It'll probably be next week when they return, but yeah, we're gonna follow up.
It's okay.
Any other comments or questions on consent? None? Okay, so we are leaving item 9.6 on. So the motion is to approve all consent items. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. We are on section 10, action items. First item is, item 10.1 is to receive board policies for first reading. And this policy is education technology and students' screen time. Go ahead and take a motion for discussion.
Yeah, motion.
There's
Yes.
three. There's
Number 1.
oh, correct. There's also a release of directory information, and then a student acceptance use agreement and release of district liability. So those are the three items.
Second on that question.
Okay, great. Okay, why don't we start with, I have a first and a second. Why don't we start with you, Rebecca?
Okay, just on the release of directory information, I just want to clarify whether that's a new policy or whether it's an update to an existing policy.
You know that, Wendy?
Exhibit to it, so I don't know if this was a new policy.
I do know, Dr. Goldman, you also shared a concern about this one.
Many concerns.
Or many, sure.
Yes.
So I'm pulling it up. I know
This is original date adopted pending, so I'm assuming it's.
this is a new policy, yeah, correct.
You know, if I may, our
Yeah.
first assurance is safety. And it may be legal, from what I understand, the documentation shows this is legal. And we did have first presentations at a board meeting in the past where some parents said it was very difficult to connect with other students. We don't know their contact information. Totally respect that. But putting this amount of information out, and there's no reference of how this information will be, unless I've misread it, how it will be. Is this a digital format that will be emailed that makes it very accessible? That would scare me to death. I would encourage us to look at the least amount of information we can possibly provide that addresses the concerns of at least it lets them be contacted. And I know one other comment I want to make here is that one of the opportunities was to opt out of this. We're all busy people. I hate to have the parent who missed it and they didn't opt out and now their child's information is everywhere. That makes me very nervous. And so I'm very uncomfortable with this as it's written.
Has legal reviewed this?
Yes.
So I hear you, Neil, and I wonder if actually the May release information piece is about that there are only permissible uses for this and they are to these specific purposes. So it's not like we're just gonna be publishing the directory. It's just, right, like Web, for example, gets a list sometimes of parent emails or is allowed to access our email system to send a communication. So this would be permissible for them to do that under this. I don't read it as being just a blanket, we're gonna put the information somewhere. It's for one of these purposes. Like the school is putting out something, we're gonna do student recognition.
I think this one's open for interpretation, but I would like clarity.
Well, it's good this is a first reading.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
You know, we're gonna take those notes and
Things specific, such as, for purposes such as school.
publications, yeah. Yeah.
Programs. Doesn't say like.
But such as, it's not to say excluding.
Yeah. I could say, one thing I'd like to add, we have, it's not the intention of the district. I know we heard some public comments last week or last meeting. It's not initially the intent of the district to send out, like a phone tree. We are worried about some of the safety elements behind that, where we're also worried about, I mean, there's a lot of things that we have information on that are sensitive about families, about kids, that we're just uncomfortable, making some blanket opt out or opt in as it relates to a school directory. And I know it's great. I mean, I think in it is a nice thing to have, and I think it's awesome. We have an extremely diverse student population. So our conversations at the leadership level were a little bit different. We want to work with PTAs maybe where parents can opt into a PTA type newsletter. We don't want to, or a directory. We just don't want to we don't want to have to manage that. And we just feel like that may not be our place to manage it considering the stuff that we have. So that's not the intent of this.
Because it's so unspecific, it just.
Yeah. Sure. Well,
It feels like a slippery slope.
I mean, we could go ahead and tweak it a little bit and try and bring it back as a second that is a little bit more defined.
We always have two.
We have a second reading. That's correct. Yeah, yeah, and that's why we take the notes.
I don't know the answer, honestly,
Um,
but I raised the question.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
In terms of, I guess, sensitivity of information, I'm concerned why the need for the date of birth to be published. That's, to me, seems, I guess, unnecessary to put in a directory.
I guess I would need clarification on what the definition of a directory is, right? Like, are we talking about the same thing? Because I
Right.
feel like there's an internal use that could potentially exist for a directory of our student information that could be accessible by the schools versus a public directory that would be available to parents or other folks, right? And so this doesn't particularly define what the school directory, what this particular directory is. So that maybe it's just that we need a definitional sentence that's added to clarify that piece, because the date of birth may be essential for, to make sure we're getting the right population of students potentially.
Do they qualify?
Right, do they qualify for something? Is it, whatever it is, that's a school use versus if we were talking about giving this information out to the public, right?
I think that's the distinction because as the district, we already have that information.
Right.
So I would assume you're getting the date of birth, you're using it anyway.
Yeah. We're gonna have to, I understand your concern and just again, not to punt too much, but Monique not being here, this is sort of her wheelhouse. I guarantee there's a story behind this that and a reason that this is going to be operationally sound. We just don't do things that aren't. So we're going to go ahead and get that taken care of.
And I think there is definitely value in the directory and sharing information to promote community. The question for me is like, what is in that directory while still respecting the privacy of all of our students? And that's kind of what I'm looking for.
That's exactly
Where's
right.
that,
Yeah, well said.
that definition in that middle ground?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it.
Question, possibly for the second reading, I'd like to know educational technology and student screen time. What's the difference from the current policy that we're considering here? Obviously, I'm thinking of there's probably some addition here as a result of the screen time.
There was.
Limiting that, and then I'd like to know what is that? What is the right balance? What is that striking balance? It's not, we can wait for Monique in the future, but I'd like to have that second reading.
I think Maggie led I'm just kidding. Maggie's shaking her head. No, she really didn't.
Some information,
yeah.
it's just to give some specifics per grade level to best support the students, just through, updated research that we have within the communities and are like neighbors, on what their policies are. We currently don't have like exact screen times, but we want like some numbers to say not to exceed this amount of time, because we know the best time is one-on-one with a teacher. I mean, that's the best time, not putting a student on a device. And so building that out and creating those time limits will help our teachers and our students in our community kind of know where we're at.
Yeah, this is just a policy that allows you to then create those guidelines, right?
Yeah.
I know we received quite a bit of community comments.
You're right, exactly.
This issue, so, okay. So we're considering, we're taking that into consideration. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So on that note, I think this is labeled as our first reading.
That's correct.
I think my recommendation is this is for information and we should still have a first reading when all those policies are actually presented. Later, and then we could have a second reading for the adoption. Because as I'm looking at this section for education, technology and student use, and I'm just going to read the paragraphs. I think it's very important. It says the superintendent or designee shall establish administrative regulations and guidelines governing the use of educational technology and screen-based instruction. Such regulations may address as appropriate, and it gives a list of about 7 items, but it doesn't say what those policies are. It says, and then it further says, in developing such regulations, the superintendent or designee shall consider research, education best practices, staff input, student needs, and community feedback. So that's not in here. That just says that this will be done.
Correct.
Is that what you were referring to?
That's what she's referring to. It's not a policy. At that point, it's an administrative regulation. It's how the policy is rolled out, which is different.
Right, but there's no time frame as how much is considered appropriate screen time, which
Right,
this
that's what
says.
will be developed. These things will be developed once we pass this policy. Then we get to develop regulations and guidelines.
We still bring them back to you.
Nothing to approve. There's no.
The policy, the general policy that will develop those regulations.
So we're going to approve for you to do the concept of what it's going to.
Correct. Yeah.
It does seem a little silly. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was the original request is to do that. I would see that as a whole presented.
There's also the exhibit that was attached, right? The exhibit.
That exhibit was related to like violations and how students are allowed and what devices they can use and potentially what are consequences. It doesn't address, like, for example, the first item, it says developmentally appropriate use of technology by grade span. There's nothing in here that tells me what first,
just-
second, third, fifth, sixth graders are going to use, how they're going to use technology in the
Right.
classroom.
Yeah, it's not supposed to.
We'll bring that back to you as a, we'll bring it, it'll be an administrative regulation. I'm reading the update from this week.
It says develop expectations regarding instructional screen time.
Just for context, I know that when LAUSD adopted their screen time limitation policy, that they are still in the process of developing the regulations and what that actually will mean for implementation of the policy in their classrooms. So for instance, I had a conversation with actually Dr. Rocio Rivas, who's on the LAUSD school board, who was instrumental in passing that policy for them. And a big part of what they're doing now is figuring out exactly those details. Now they've set this flag in the sand that we want these kind of policies, right? Or that we want these regulations and guidelines, but we have to give direction to the administration to be able to develop them for us. Without the policy, they can't go and develop the regulations and guidelines. So it's just a procedural hurdle that we have to get through first. And then I assume that there will be a several months long process at least to figure out what the appropriate regulations and guidelines are to effectively implement this policy, which we will then.
And I'm actually I am in favor of looking at screen time. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I just wanted to make sure that we understand what that time frame is and when will it come back to us and not be potentially 6 months or a year. What is that time frame? What are we looking at in terms of developing these items?
It will be a year probably. I mean, we're looking, it's gonna take a year. We have to get a lot of stakeholder groups involved in it. We need to bring parents, we need to bring our teachers and staff together. I mean, so that's the point. We
That's
need,
where I was going as well. I want to make sure that we're managing what that expectation is.
yeah.
Right? When will it
Okay.
be brought back, right? So I guess we're approving this so that you and staff have the ability to develop the details of this, and then this will come back to us.
It won't come back as a policy though. It'll come
Well,
back.
Just
What will it
receiving
look
this
like?
for first reading and then we'll get it for second reading. And then after that, once we approve it on the second reading, then they can get to work on developing this stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll bring back to you just as it won't be as a policy, but it will be as a regulation on how we're gonna go about doing that. And I'm guessing that between Maggie and Monique, we'll do a presentation and share, what the findings were, what our, recommendation would be to the board, and move forward from there.
And those will become exhibits to this policy.
There'll be, it's like what do they,
Actually, just
it's attached to essentially.
I think what's confusing to everybody from here is the subject recommended action, the reference policy, and then when you look at the educational technology and student screen time, it's board policy, right? Hey, so I think that's
where my hang up is. There's
That's where the hang up.
it's correction on what to do next.
Yes.
Right? Okay. I understand. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, section 10.2 is to receive policies for second reading and possible adoption. The items listed are board policy and regulation regarding use of electric bicycles. And also board policy and regulation regarding student personal electronic devices. Is there a motion so that we can, in a second, so we can open discussion?
Yeah, motion.
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions? This one is for second reading for
This is for
approval.
approval.
So I do have a couple of questions.
And this one includes the.
Yeah. So,
it has it all.
Just saying.
all right, guys, this is interesting. Bear with me.
Just another.
And this might already have been answered, but I need a little bit of help and education here. Class 3 versus class 1, class 2 bikes. Why are we not including class 1 and class 2 bicycles? Is there like a law that says you can't do that?
So it's a mile per hour distinction. So certain bicycles are allowed if you're, you know, certain ages and others aren't. And I mean, I don't know if I have that the exact breakdown, but there is a point which the law says you cannot ride that bike. It's like, looks like a motorcycle. You see
Yeah,
a
no,
lot of them don't have pedals on them.
This issue came.
They
up.
modify them. Yeah, we talked about it at the last
And
meeting.
that's what I figured. And that's why, yeah. So class 1 and class 2 bicycles will be allowed, just not class 3.
Right.
Because of those restrictions.
Correct.
And
Nisha's saying over
they can and
30.
cannot.
It's 20, it says 28 miles an hour, so if
Okay.
class 3 bikes can reach up to, it can go 28 miles per hour and not be allowed on our campuses.
That answers that question.
They're basically like motorbikes at that point.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the
License,
bikes.
right?
I think it's a safe policy to have, so I'm in support of this as well.
We have a way, I mean, I know this because, you know, some of those bikes can be modified. So it's not, we're not looking at it based on the brand, the type, like, are we looking at it for the ability, you know, how are we looking at it for the ability that it gets?
So part of the registration process for the bike is the parent is acknowledging that the bike is equipped with the manufacturer's like regulations.
Okay,
So the
and
parent
not
signs,
modified.
so the parent, per the agreement, it says that the parent is acknowledging that the bike has not been to meet the standards.
So I'm gonna speak to that a little bit because I wanna be clear. A cell phone app can modify a bike. So yes, there's an app on a cell phone where you could, I don't know what the term is. Yes, so you can do that. So you can make a bike that was going 17, 18 miles per hour, go 25 miles an hour. There's no way in the world we're gonna be able to monitor that. I think that the issue is gonna be, you know, if we see a kid riding 25 miles an hour down the street, we're gonna then have the ability to, I mean, we have a great community that reaches out when things happen. And I think that, you know, we're gonna have to do some follow-up. I mean, we've done it with e-bikes this year. We've had to make contact with families who, even adults who are misusing the use of e-bikes on sidewalks and so forth. So I think, you know, we'll continue to do that. But it is going to be really hard for us to manage that. What I will say is part of the process is going to be that every student has to take a training course. There's going to be several options, including in partnership potentially with Hawthorne Police Department. And then they're also they'll submit those, the parent does as well. So student will submit the certificate of completion, and then they're going to receive a sticker for their decal that's going to be on their bike. That we would be able to monitor. We're gonna have someone walking around the bike locks and check in. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have a huge problem. I mean, the e-bike situation, although it's big in the community, I mean, I think with the high end at the middle school, when I counted, was 33-ish, which is relatively low compared to some neighboring school districts. I think Aviation had, 7 or 12, something like that. So, and Del Air had fewer. So we're not dealing with this. It's not going to be a real burden on us to crack down. And again, so if we see, students that are misusing, what we're seeing more than speed is just inappropriate driving, middle of the street, wheelies, yes, those kinds of things. So we're going to have to deal with all of that. Correct. So.
So I do have a clarifying question or a request, which is that the same classes that apply to bicycles apply to scooters, and the language is not clear at all that we intend. It prohibits it in the class 3, but doesn't list in classes 1 and 2 the addition of scooters and other electric vehicles that kids might have. And so I want to make sure, as a parent of a child who rides a scooter, that this language doesn't prohibit electric scooters that meet the otherwise mile per hour requirements. Like I specifically bought him one that didn't go over 15 miles an hour.
Right.
Things like that.
Where are you seeing that conflict? I'm looking at the policy now.
It's, if you look at the definitions of classes 1, 2, and 3, classes 1 and 2 talk about bicycles, but in prohibited devices, it lists electric scooters. It doesn't list the rest of those items under classes 1, 2, and 3.
I think the scooter is not listed.
I just want to make sure that the way that this is worded doesn't prohibit those otherwise allowed things, like perhaps we would let, I don't know, you know, there are those like, what are those boards, right? That
Yeah, like the hoverboard.
the hoverboards and things like that. Is that allowed on campus? This would suggest that they're prohibited. So that's my concern with approving it as written.
I'm gonna say, I think this is specific to e-bikes and bicycles though, so I don't see it as a prohibition of
But
these
you've
scooters.
specifically listed electric scooters under prohibited devices.
So maybe what we do is we cross that out and just keep it to bikes. I mean, the intention here is bikes and not scooters or electric motorized. I think it's saying that electric motorized boards, those are the ones, they go really fast and they're very dangerous. This came as a recommended policy to us. We did utilize South Bay, our South Bay partners to get it. And so we're trying to stay ahead of the curve here. I know we're seeing some issues.
It does say at the end.
Hmm?
Does CSBA have a policy on this?
This comes from Gamut. Yeah, it comes from
Okay, that's
CSBA.
okay.
Yeah, correct. But I mean, then you have to adjust it. They come with CSBA comes with a very template version where you fill stuff in. So that's why we reach out to you reach out to your neighboring districts who've had these issues already, and we're able to kind of compile it. So Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, Hermosa, that's where we kind of leaned on because they just have a huge challenge with these types of.
Yeah, I mean, I would just as soon strike if what we're aiming at is this is an e-bike policy and we'll adopt an additional policy with respect to these other forms of motorized vehicles, I would like it to be clear that that's what we're doing. Because this doesn't, in my opinion, does not adequately distinguish those. Because there are class 1 and 2 electric scooters. So that's just my,
I don't know what that does for us here.
I mean, I'd like to make a motion to table the regulation and policy pending further discussion about whether we can clarify the issue of e-scooters.
Is there a timing issue?
Yeah, I mean, we want these on the registration packets that are coming up.
The last sentence under prohibited devices says, and any motorized devices that, it says and any motorized devices that does not meet the California Vehicle Code definition of class 1 or class 2 electric.
Bike. So you're prohibiting anything that's not a class 1 or 2 bike. As opposed to, and this is my lawyer brain, but I'm going to argue that it.
So would it be, in terms of language, is there a language that you would propose, Rebecca, that would make this an acceptable, for example, indicating that?
I would say bicycle or scooter. In all of the, like in your definition of
Right.
class 1 and 2, if you just, or and 3,
We can
right,
modify
to
that.
just
We can.
say, just for all of the classes that we modify it to be bicycle or scooter, the bicycle in this instance is defined. Yeah.
So I'm reading that, I'm not really interpreting that class 1 or 2 scooter is prohibited.
Right.
I
I'm
don't
not
read that-
either.
I don't read it that way.
But I'm happy to put, if a one word is gonna get us to the policy, because we need to get this in,
That's why I asked the question. I think we're close. And
I think it's,
we-
I think
we
it's,
have the
if we do bicycles or scooters, because we have both bicycles, right, that are pedal powered. Right, on campus, we want to continue to let kids ride bicycles and scooters that are pedal powered. And I think we also want to allow our students who have motorized scooters in those lower categories to be able to allow to do that as well.
Sorry.
So after the word bicycle there in that paragraph, if it said or scooter, would that be acceptable? Is that clear enough?
We'd have to go through all.
I would read like anywhere that it mentions a bicycle, we say bicycle or scooter.
Which means that there's also then the title of this policy would then be bicycles and e-bikes and scooters. And we have to cross-reference that then to Gamut to see if that's the same policy, or if Gamut has a separate policy on scooters as it is.
Basically, like the difference between a class 1 and 2 bike is, I mean, a scooter is the same as the difference between the bike. One you need a hit to start and the other one uses a throttle.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what I would prefer to do is to approve this as an e-bike policy and bring back a scooter policy that would allow, because our issue is not with scooters, our issue is with bikes. So the push through for us would be just to make sure that we get some clarity on e-bikes, because we need to get this to parents, because there is a to-do for families who are using e-bikes at this point. So I'd prefer that we approve it, we strike that other reference to scooter. Under class 3.
prohibited devices.
And maybe bring a
Correct.
policy for
And we could bring, if one exists,
scooters and
Sure.
everything else that are listed there.
right, we
Legally
can,
safer and cleaner too. We don't know what
sure,
can work with
Yeah.
doing this
Mm-hmm.
in the moment.
right. So, okay, so we're gonna keep this to e-bikes. We're taking out everything that doesn't have bike in it. So we're gonna keep dirt bikes. I'm gonna actually, yeah.
Moped.
Any motorized device that is not. One, two.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the reasons is scooters, there is not a class for them. They're not.
There are classes. I think that they do exist.
There's not a universal classification like there is for the bikes. And so we'll have to figure out under 50 miles an hour above.
We can make our own classes.
We'll have to make our own. There's not a universal setting as there are spikes.
Yeah.
So do we have board consensus on just limiting this policy to e-bikes?
Yeah.
And then we'll have a separate board policy for other transportation.
That works.
Great. Okay. So I have a question on our next item, which is mobile communication devices. I am in favor of limiting the use of communication devices, particularly in classroom time, because it can affect teaching, instruction, and learning, of course. There is a section here that I'd like to have a conversation on and share. It says that we would, it says, except as provided in this administrative regulation, devices shall not be used during instructional time, recess, lunch, passing periods, assemblies, school-sponsored activities, and any other time during the school day unless specifically authorized. My concern with this is that it appears to me to be very restrictive. And I recognize that sometimes parents have a need to communicate with their students, for example, to coordinate pickup and drop-off time if something has changed. This does not provide for any kind of communication with the student other than potentially at the end when class and school is over. If a parent or guardian or someone else has to pick up a child from school, how did they communicate that? So my recommendation would be is to not have it as restrictive and maybe eliminate the lunch period, which is more free time, so that it provides an opportunity for them to exchange an email or a text message or something. Or if it's recess or a passing period, I wholeheartedly agree with all of the other items, instructional time, assemblies, anything that can be disruptive to the learning environment that teachers spend so much time developing. Or I'd like to know what the rationale is for having or voiding it during recess, lunch, and passing periods.
I can speak to this a little bit, and then, I mean, I know I see some colleagues, board members that may want to speak as well, but I'm gonna say, this is the district's recommendation is a ban on cell phone use during school day. 100%. It's nothing from start to finish. Some of our most prevalent concerns come out of use of cell phones during the school day, whether it be in bathrooms, lunchtime. We're less concerned about the impact of cell phones on instruction and on the class time, because you have your teachers are there and they're managing the class. The biggest misuse of cell phones is happening those other times. It's happening at lunch, it's happening at recess, it's happening during passing periods. So that actually is our target time. Thus the recommendation. Sure, happy to, I mean, it's board policy, so we're gonna enforce and implement whatever you all choose, but our recommendation from staff is a complete ban between the start and the end of the school day.
There is an exception. There are a number of exceptions. I point to number 6, authorized use. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are medical need, et cetera. But number 6 is otherwise authorized by principal or designee. Student, I need to talk to parent, go ahead. But not without go ahead.
And I would also, sorry, go ahead, Maggie.
Some schools that we modeled this after have like little zones, like outside the office, or like you can use it within the purple zone, but like once you leave the zone, we just want the interaction with the kids to happen. We're seeing a lack of that these days, and so we really feel like this policy will help bring that together
100%.
during their social times too. So that'll be up to our principals to decide where those areas will be.
And the other thing I would just say is that anytime that I've needed to communicate with my child, I called the school and I asked them to pass a note or to let the student know that or emailing the teacher or somebody to let them know, hey, I'm picking up my kid early or late or something has changed in how that is. And I've never had an issue with the school doing it. I will also say that I had a student, one of my children this year, who had his cell phone during recess and lunch, and it was disruptive to me that he kept calling me because he was having issues at school. He was having, there were definitely issues, and it was a conversation that I had to have with the school, right, about what's going on with him, why is he having these concerns, what's kind of thing. So I just I am in favor of the full day ban. For a whole variety of reasons, not least of which is that it is the kids are sneaking their phones to have these conversations and not playing with their friends, not interacting with students. And I've also seen bullying and things like that happen, over these devices in those unstructured times. So I'm in favor of the total bell-to-bell ban.
Any other comments or questions on these two?
I think that the way to look at it is like realistically, they're gonna find a way, but I think that this backs us up as far as what is enforceable, right? And as a teacher, I do agree with the bell to bell. I hear the concern about parents not being able to, but again, there are ways around that. And if we can kind of wean our parents away from that quick, reaching their students and knowing that the appropriate ways, I think everybody will be, the benefit of it outweighs the inconvenience, short-term inconvenience of being able to reach your student. And again, there are provisions here in cases of emergency, which is what really parents are concerned about, right? So, yeah.
I don't have, any type of immediately accessible data to share on this, so I'm just going to use more anecdotally that we don't get a lot of complaints from parents that they can't reach their kid. And a lot of our kids, either don't have cell phones or actually follow the rules and aren't using their cell phone during the day, especially in our TK to 5. And we're not receiving complaints that parents are unable to get in touch with their kids. That's not the problem we're solving for. I think the problem we're solving for is the misuse, what's become this sort of addiction of screen, this dopamine, addiction that students are just finding ways to use this phone all the time, at school, in the corner, in the classroom. And as Michelle said, they're still going to do it. But at least, this sets a pretty stark, set of, policy here. So that's the rationale for us is just more the safety side of it.
Okay, I have a motion from Nelson and a second from Michelle for both of the items. I'd like to request, if you would, that we split the two items since there was 2 board policies on the agenda so that we can vote individually on the e-bikes and on the student personal electronic devices. Is that acceptable to those that created the motion and the second? So that we have 2 items.
Yeah, that the motion on the e-bikes includes
With the
your
amendments. Yes.
Yeah, I think we may need, I would almost make another motion individually for each policy then.
It was Nelson that moved.
Yeah.
Nelson, yes.
And I recommend that Nelson rephrase his
Yeah.
motion to split the two items, to request that the item regarding the e-bikes be limited as we've discussed. And that we adopt the second policy as written.
I think I'm understanding that.
Friendly
We're
amendment.
gonna have a motion to almost split the board policy and the administrative regulation, right, for each, right? We're
I think
gonna
we're
have four
considering
items.
policy and regulation together.
So board
Is that
policy,
together?
board policy and regulation for e-bikes is one item with the change of scooters, removing that to, it'll only be e-bikes. And then the second independent item would be the board policy and regulation together for student personal electronic devices. And I would call a motion on both individually.
Okay.
Is that acceptable to you, Nelson, since you have the
I'm
motion?
gonna try to repeat that. You
So
got it.
Nelson and Michelle, since that was your second? Okay, so then
Do you
I'll,
accept that friendly amendment?
That's even better. If I don't have to repeat it.
You got a second.
great, I have a revised motion for Nelson and Michelle, and I'm gonna go ahead and call for the vote on board policy and regulation for the use of electronic bicycles with the amendment as stated to remove the scooters and other devices, the transportation vehicles, I should say, to limit it just to electronic bicycles. All those in favor? Aye, motion carries 5-0.
And what I'm gonna commit to is we'll bring you since you've already voted on it and it's, I'm gonna just bring you the final copy at the next meeting or put it in the update just so you can see the changes reflected in that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second as well for board policy and board regulation regarding student personal electronic devices. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? I abstain. So the motion carries 4-0-1. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to action items for facilities under item 11.1, award of agreement district-wide for furniture, fixtures, and equipment project, move services with King Office Services to be paid out of Measure EE bond funds. Is there a motion?
If there's no objection, I'd like to make a motion for both 11.12 since they're both facility items.
That works.
For those following, item 11.2 is amendment number 1 to agreement for Dalley Elementary School and Holly Glen Elementary School for door access control and EDA upgrades project with the Lab of Record, consultant services, Phenol Engineering and Testing. I have a motion. Who made the second? No.
Can you do something?
Oh, is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, motion and a second. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question on 11.2. Just the amendment was greater than the original cost. Just what was the distinction there? I think Cherie's going up to answer that.
It's a good.
I've already done that once, don't want to do it again.
Good evening. The original contract was just for the at Del Air, just for the TK playground and shade structure project. So a much smaller area. And the second, the amendment is for both Del Air and Holly Glen for all door access controls and ADA upgrades at both sites.
I'm assuming it was more cost effective and efficient to extend it than getting new.
That is correct.
Thanks, Greg.
Any further questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Moving to section 12 is action items under fiscal. Item 12.1 is to ratify revision to funding source for an agreement with Quarter Creative LLC. Is there a motion?
Second.
Second.
Go ahead, Michelle's got it.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And one abstention.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0-1. Item 12.2 is to approve a technology agreement with Minga Solutions. Is there a motion?
So,
Neil, a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Dr. Silva, for clarifying this with me.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.3 is to approve master contracts for the 2026-2027 school year. Is there a motion?
It's a motion and I have a comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
No, thank you. Rebecca, questions?
Yeah,
Comments?
well, I don't know, Kim, did you want to say anything about the?
Just that, this is usually the time when we were prepping our contracts for the next school year. And so this year, our goal was to get as many contracts. We've done it typically over several board meetings in the fall. Really trying to consolidate and have everything in one space this time around. Obviously, there will be things that may come up, but trying to get what we know for sure our services we need all together in one item.
You may not know this top of your head, it may not be fair, but the comparison from last year to this year, we changed dramatically.
Yes, we've changed. We've definitely lowered our costs in terms of contracted services by several $100,000 this next school year.
So that's part of my comment and request is that I just want to say kudos to you and your team. I know how difficult it has been in the past to be able to accurately and comprehensively predict the service needs for the coming school year. So thank you for all of the work that it took to go into figuring this out. It has been, I know, a year-long process for us to get to this point, as well as continuing to reduce our burden of the amount of resources that we spend on external contracts versus providing those services with employees of the district, which is a dramatically lower cost to us. So thank you for continuing to work in that vein. I also want to just request that we get a comprehensive update about the special ed program. I know that we are starting the consulting services with the CCEE, whose acronym I will get wrong if I say it, but that state agency that will be coming in and working with us. And I understand from the first meeting that there has already been identified a dramatic difference between our expenditures and those of our counterpart or like agencies, LEAs in other parts of the state. And so I just want to continue to provide the board with updated information on where we are as a program, what the impacts are, how enrollment has been affected. I know we've talked previously, I think in a previous school year, about the dramatic increase in the number of students with special needs. So just getting that comprehensive update about where our program sits so that we can have that context for understanding this.
Absolutely. We're working on that right now, actually, as we prep to go into next year. So I'm working on those numbers so we can talk about comparisons and still what our next steps are moving forward.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions on that item? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.4 is to declare items obsolete. Is there a motion? Nelson, a second? Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We do have a need for a second closed session. Before we do adjourn to a closed session, I will read off a couple of item 14.1 is our next regularly scheduled board meeting is Thursday, August 20th at 5 p.m. And can you believe it? Back to school nights already on the list here. Thank you for the heads up. We are.
Monday, there's no first day of school listed. We're just going back to school night.
Back
You're
to
right.
school.
I didn't catch that.
We're a little
Right.
bit further out, so.
But, Mr. Banuelos, can I just add one item? I just want to say, we're actually asking the board and if, and I know I'd sent it in an update, but that on Thursday, September 10th, board meeting, it's a regularly scheduled board meeting, is also the middle school back to school night. But we do have a need for that board meeting. So we're hoping to change that time to 7 p.m. We'll just do a closed after that if we have to, but we'll try and limit that. So 7 PM start, it'll be a very short, like one, if we have to sneak a couple agenda items in there, we will, but really it's for our unaudited actuals that we need to get presented before September
So instead of
15th.
saying
We're not
cancel, we're
canceling it.
moving.
We're
Correct,
moving it
it's
to
not
7.
canceled.
Got
So
it.
this is a change after the
Holy Lands
agenda
is
was
16.
posted.
Not listed.
No, it's not.
It's on my printed copy.
Oh, yeah, it's on my printed
My
copy as
printed
well, I
copy
remember
shows
saying.
Wednesday, September 16th.
All right, Kevin, what did you do over there? That's all you, no, I'm just joking.
So when,
Magic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner.
yeah, we'll figure. There's a troll in the program.
September 16th. Yeah.
I think those are all the dates for now, right?
That's it, yes.
So we're going to go ahead and adjourn and just say thank you to everyone for making Wiseman just a little bit better every day. And thank you for your contributions. Have a good night.